This cow is in pain, and in this video, I struggle to find the reason.
This cow's got a sore front right foot, and we know that because we're exceptionally good at spotting lame cows. And
because Craig's got a list that tells us which cow is lame, and she's on it.
I'm fairly certain it's this foot that's lame, because when I brought her in, she was holding it up in the air.
There's nothing immediately obvious though, is there?
Not always, but usually, always, probably, sometimes. More often than not, the problem is on this claw here, towards the heel, so that's when I'm expecting to find the issue with this foot. That doesn't mean that it is there though.
I can actually see straight away that this one is very marginally longer. If we put the dorsal walls, which are these two walls up in here, if we put them together, then you can see this inner claw is slightly longer than this outer one. And if we look from over here, we can see that this part of our heel is also higher than the outer claw.
So we're just going to start by making sure that both feet are completely balanced.
If you look closely at this cow's foot, you can actually see the previous marks from where she's been trimmed fairly recently. These cows are trimmed 3 times a year, and it really shows. Currently, this is one of only 2 cows who are lame on this farm of almost 300 cows. This is the result of year upon year upon year of dedicated routine hoof trimming.
As I'm grinding away here, usually something shows up, meaning that the problem is glaringly obvious. However, on this foot, that doesn't seem to be happening. So we'll just forget about the lameness for now and continue on with the routine part of the trim. That is a little bit of bruising in there, which I wouldn't expect to cause major lameness.
This type of cow's hoof is the exact reason why it's so important that we either get to see the cows walking into the crush, or we have some kind of note from the farmer telling us which cow has a problem.
Feet on this farm are really good. A lot of the time we turn up and there literally isn't even a lame cow for us to have to treat. It's just routine trimming, so her feet looking this good to begin with is no surprise to me whatsoever. However, we're not finding an issue, and that is a surprise. Right, move on to the heels. There's a bit of cracked hoof on there, so we're just going to remove that. We're not going to take too much away. And this heel looks still to be slightly too high, but actually that is the end of our routine trim, and I haven't found a problem. Right, infrared camera. I'm hoping that this shows up a real heat spot, because a heat spot means inflammation, and inflammation means pain. If we shine it on her body first and then her udder, you'll see that her body has got much thicker hair on it and a thicker layer of fat, so it's colder. And hopefully, if it's working, her udder will show up bright red because it has a much thinner layer of hair or insulation. So there's her body from a distance. You can actually clearly see this pole here, look, going through the camera there, and her body's slightly red behind, slightly red, but if we point at her udder, look, so there's her body, point at her udder, and look, bright red. But we're not here for her udder, we're here for her foot, so I'm praying this shows something up. No real heat signal there. Nothing really showing up. That yellow bit you can see in the middle, sorry, red bit you can see in the middle is her interdigital space. So I would expect it to be hot, but yeah, nothing is showing up. I would really like to find the problem. These hoof testers put a huge amount of force onto her. Oh, is that her just moving, or did I hurt her? We'll try again. Something is showing. If we look at her body, she's moving, look. If I squeeze the outer claw, there's no reaction. If I squeeze the inner claw, yeah, a definite reaction. Right, so we're going to model it out a bit more deeply, and we're definitely going to put a block on that outer claw. Although I am really struggling to see the issue. So first things first, model this out as deeply as we possibly can to see if anything shows up. So we're gonna put a block on that outer claw, definitely, because this one is definitely reacting in some way. The trouble is, sometimes when farmers are so good at spotting lame cows, they spot them so early that whatever the problem is hasn't fully come to a head yet. So you can't help too much because you can't discover the problem. So weirdly, sometimes it has to get worse before it's sort of able to get better. I'm trying to thin this as much as I possibly can. That moisture in there? No, just slurry. Peeling tiny slithers away from her foot. That darkening in here is causing me concern, but I'm also scared that I go too far and cut into healthy hoof horn, which I really don't want to do. Sorry, healthy corium, not healthy hoof horn. Oh look, she's really reacting even to my thumb now. So we're close to whatever the problem is. You can see bruising in here. Some cows have just got much lower pain tolerances than other cows. You see some cows this wouldn't affect them in the slightest. And in a way, that could be bad because then these problems can go undetected for long periods of time. These are like 1/10 of a millimetre thick now, these cuts that I'm making. I can't get, what's the word? Impatient and take too big a cut, or I'll just regret it. Taking a huge amount of hoof horn here away from her foot now. Just taking it away itself. I can actually see a very slight change in colour of the hoof horn right at the tip of my finger there, and that lets me know that I can't go any further there. So I'm actually going to change over knives and go up the way. Right, this is the do or die moment. I think that's got a pocket in there. A very slight pocket, but I'm so scared to make a mistake. Literally shaving the surface now. No matter whether or not we find something now, we will definitely be putting a block on. I say find something now, we pretty much have found something. This bruising is obviously causing her pain because it's no coincidence that she's got it and she's lame on this foot. Wouldn't it be good now if it just went psh?
I would simply love there to be an absolute explosion of fluid right now because it would mean a huge relief for this cow. But my hope is fading.
Flexing out of my way now, doing this with bated breath.
I know she's lame, and in my heart I want to find a pocket of fluid to really help her. But my search takes me slightly too far.
Just get a block on like that.
Our search has not been fruitless. This hoof has deep bruising in it, and I suspect a bit of an infection. I've left word with the farmer that she'll need anti-inflammatory drugs. NSAIDs, non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs. And those drugs should reduce the inflammation within her foot, whilst that block carries all of her weight. Although this wasn't an incredibly visual representation of why she's lame, to her, this will have been a very valuable few minutes.